research and evaluation. I work for Metis Associates.
For what?
Metis Associates.
What is that? M-A-D-D-I-S?
METIS.
M-E-T-I-S. What is that?
It's a research and evaluation
For what
company headquartered here in New York City.
What kind of research and evaluation? Like what kind of stuff?
We do in a lot of different program areas, mainly education, but also...
So educational research, if that would be accurate to say?
Well, there's a lot more than that. And it's also information technology.
So if you had one title to give yourself, what would it be?
Researcher.
Researcher, okay. All right. All right, so you're going to start a thing. Say your name and the baby's name, and then begin to tell the tale of what happened last night. Okay?
Like how long do you want the tale to be?
Well,
Because
start
it's
like when
very
you
long.
start to go into labor at home or whatever.
And talk to her.
Okay. All right. And say your name first.
So, my name is Julia Alemani, and this is Micah Alemani Marcus. And it all began, my due date was Saturday, so my husband had a brilliant idea. As soon as we heard about the hurricane, my husband said that, we should really try to be safe and rent a place near NYU Medical Center so that we could be in the city in case that all the tunnels and the bridges were shut down and everything. So we rented a place for 3 days, and then of course, like yesterday morning, my contractions begin. So I was really glad that we actually were in the city already. And by the afternoon, right before the storm got much worse, we decided to just check into the hospital and make sure we could, make it. And that was a great move because a half hour later, First Avenue was flooded, our street was flooded, so I wouldn't even have been able to come into the hospital.
In Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Your street was flooded? Or no, in front of NYU?
Yes,
Okay.
where we rented this place
Right.
for 3 days.
Okay.
So we come into the hospital
And it's
they
about what time
checked
when you
me,
arrived?
like 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.? Okay, right.
And they checked me and I wasn't ready at all. So they said, first they said, oh, we may send you home. And I told them, well, haven't you seen outside? Like, I'm not going anywhere.
This is yesterday.
And then, of course, 2 hours later, they said, you're still not ready, but you're not going anywhere. We're going to admit everyone, and then we'll just, wait and see. And then at that time, I told my husband to go downstairs to the cafeteria to get some food because we hadn't eaten for many, many hours. And suddenly the light goes out in the entire building. And not even like the backup lights would come back on because the generators were in the basement where it had been completely flooded. So the generators couldn't kick in. And luckily he wasn't in the elevator. I knew that he had gone downstairs in the elevator and it was like if he's stuck there. But he was able to get out, and that's when it happened. And he just came back up 8 flights of stairs, complete darkness. He was able to find me. And then my contractions started being really, really strong.
And about what time was that now?
8:30, 9 o'clock, and really, really painful. But they said that they couldn't give us pain medication.
And the lights are out for this point?
Completely out.
How
They were
frightened
all
were
with
you?
flashlights
Yeah?
and with glow sticks, and my husband had to hold his cell phone while they were putting my IV. Yeah.
So your
it was a
epidural was
little-
done under darkness?
They had the flashlights and the cell phones and all that. But
So they safely did that.
they did
And
that.
they
but
were
said
they
that
all
they could
hoping at that
only
point that the
give-
lights were going to come back on?
Well, at that point, they already knew that probably we would need to be evacuated, so that's why they said that they could only give very little pain medication, so I was able to walk in case of an emergency and having to rush out. And then the scariest part happened when I was, in a lot of pain, and suddenly I hear a lot of commotion outside, and I just hear the words fire. And, my husband came to tell me that there was some smoke at the end of the corridor and the nurses were running, everyone was running, and I was like, I can't run. Like, I was in so much pain. But luckily it was nothing. It was like some steam from somewhere, and very quickly they said, don't panic, it's not a fire. And the staff there were incredible because at every single point, they would check in with us, tell us exactly what was happening, what they were planning to do, and that really helped.
And
get
okay,
through
did you know how
everything.
many centimeters you were at that point, or?
Like 4 centimeters.
4 centimeters, okay. And then at what time did they said, we're gonna take you out?
So it was 9:30, something like that. Not sure about
And
the
what do you
time,
remember
but-
next about being evacuated?
Well, I remember being in a lot of pain and then putting me in a sled, and then they had to just bring me down the 8th flight of stairs.
What
on
did
the
they say
floor.
to you as you were going down?
If I was okay. They asked me like 20 million times if I was okay, and that I was doing a great job, and all I could think is, I'm not doing anything, you're doing all the great job. You know, like, I'm just here, breathing, concentrating on positive thoughts, and, trying to get through it. But, they brought us safely downstairs, put us in an ambulance, and at that point, the medication had completely wore off, because they had only given me a little bit, and they were so close to each other, the contractions, and the nurse who came with us kept saying, well, I hope you don't have the baby in the ambulance, because you seem like really ready. So as soon as we got here, 20 minutes later, it was like 3 more contractions, the doctor was able to get him out. And I was so happy because, I was expecting that maybe I would have to have another C-section, because the first time around with him, it didn't really, with my other son.
Oh
it
wow,
was,
so this was a VBAC.
Uh-huh.
Wow, okay.
That's why it was so scary too, because throughout the whole thing, I was like, if they need to do an emergency C-section, I don't know where or how they're going to do it.
So you arrived here at around 10 p.m.? Do you know what
Here,
time?
no, like 12.
12 midnight?
Yeah,
12 midnight, and he was born what time?
12:42.
12:42. Wow.
Yeah. So.
Did you weep, cry, what? We'll get to that in a minute.
I was just so happy when I saw him, and I knew that he was safe, because I didn't, there were a couple of points where I was a little afraid that, things may not go exactly as I wanted.
How much did he weigh?
7 pounds 15 ounces.
And the APGAR scores?
And
The APGAR scores, do
the
they do
9-9?
this? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's very good. That's really incredible. When you thought about what your birth experience was going to be before this, what was in your mind about what you thought?
I thought, it would be nothing like this. I mean, I thought I had some cool stories to tell about my other son and his birthing experience, and I thought, oh, this one, I don't know what he could do to match his stories. And of course, his stories are a little bit more intense and more powerful.
Sleeping so. Did you rethink of maybe naming him Sandy?
No. We've heard that 20, million times, and no.
That's not going to be a popular name.
Exactly. We don't want to name him after a bad, disaster.
Yeah. Do you have a nickname for him yet, though?
Nope, just Micah.
Yeah. I guess, what would you say was the most frightening moment of the whole experience?
The fire. Scare. Because, I just couldn't even get up from my bed. So I was like, how am I going to,
And your labor altogether, would you say, was how long from beginning to end?
So the contraction started about 9 a.m. and then he was born at after midnight.
Yeah, it's like talking about having a baby in a new